I read a lot of holiday romances. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Now for today's video, I'm going to be talking about a couple of the holiday romances that I've already managed to finish since I posted my holiday TBR video. Now, if you guys haven't checked it out already, there is a video that I just recently posted that are featuring some of 2021's newest romance releases that feature around the holiday Christmas season. And since I filmed that video like a week in advance and I finally edited that video and posted it like 2 days ago, I've since read a couple that I wanted to give you guys a quick review of so that you will know which books that you should add to your TBR right away, which books to add to your cart, and read for the upcoming holiday season. So for the first book that I do want to talk about is one book that I have mentioned in my TBR video. This one is called Always in December by Emily Stone, and it basically follows our heroine who had a very tragic life so far. Her parents have actually passed away and it's around Christmas time, so she obviously has ill feelings towards Christmas. She doesn't want to celebrate Christmas at all because it just brings up bad memories since her parents died at that time. And then our hero and her actually meet in this like weird situation and they have an instant connection with each other and they really like each other. They spend a lot of time with each other and they actually manage to even have a little hookup situation. Now keep in mind that this book is a little bit fade to black, so don't expect too much of a steamy factor in this book for your holiday read. But moving along, they have a wonderful time with each other until he abruptly leaves and she is left heartbroken and she's left wondering what she did wrong. Like, did she do something that made him feel like that she was too clingy? Did she do something that was just upsetting to him and he didn't feel that he needed to continue on the relationship? It was just like a lot of questioning and wondering. But then throughout the whole book, we kind of just watch her develop and grow throughout the years, because this book does take place in a span of like a couple of months in a whole year. And then during the times where she is doing things and she's living her life and things like that, she actually ends up meeting him in weird circumstances in places that she thought that she would never be able to see him again. It just brings up a lot of emotion every time she does see him, because she always wondered, what if he stayed? Would they have been something more? And then throughout the whole book, it's like kind of like her journey into adulthood as well. Even though she's already an adult, it's kind of like her journey, like living with that grief of her parents passing away, living with a broken heart, and having like new relationships and friendships and things like that. And then towards the end of the book, we finally realize why our hero was kind of always wishy-washy and disappearing all the time, and maybe he had some secrets of his own that he didn't want to bring up to our heroine. Now for this book, I would really recommend you to check this one out if you guys like Josie Silver's book One Day in December. It reminds me of like those warm cozy reads that you would just read in the wintertime, and like something that you can, you know, sit by the fireplace, drink a hot cup of coffee or a hot cup of tea, and just really enjoy the story of just watching our heroine kind of grow to become a stronger person through the hardships in her life and to face adversity. So I really enjoyed this book. It definitely was slow a bit of the time and it wasn't as steamy as I expected. And I wouldn't necessarily say that it is a romance novel. I would say it leans towards a woman's fiction novel because it focuses a lot on her developing herself, and the romance kind of takes a step back towards the end of the book. If you guys don't like women's fiction, or if you expected something a little bit more, keep this in mind when you're reading the book so that you know what you're walking into essentially. So I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. There were some times that it was a little bit slow and I was wondering like, why are we spending so much time developing our main heroine's character in these like weird scenes? But I still enjoyed it and I would still recommend you to check it out this holiday season if you do see it on a shelf in your local bookstore or if you see it on Kindle. Now the next book that I do want to talk about is a book that I never mentioned in my TBR video, mostly because I don't own the physical copy. I saw saw it in stores a lot, and I also saw it online, but I just never added to cart, and I never went to checkout on it, mostly because the cover just really bothered me. Like, I didn't like the cover at all, and the illustration looked really like haphazard. It didn't look like it was just a cute novel, and I'm sorry if I judge books by their covers, but I really do. But now I know that I should never judge books by its covers because I really like this book. So this one's called Meet Me in London by Georgia Toffolo, and this one follows our heroine, who is actually a fashion designer, and she likes to, you know, design nice pieces, nice dresses, and like she's looking for her next big break so that she can break out into that scene. She goes to, I think, like a bar, and then this random guy walks up to her and asks her to marry him. And she's like taken aback by it because like why is this like random stranger in a bar like asking, you know, proposing to her? So she freaks out a bit and she laughs it off, but she doesn't expect to really build a connection with this stranger in the bar. And the stranger just so happens to be our hero, who is the heir of this like really big department store chain in, I think, London. And he has been, you know, groomed to be taking on the business after their parents kind of stepped down from their positions, because it was like their parents' job and their parents' business. And their parents have been really pestering him to go find a wife and to find a girlfriend, because his father unfortunately has an illness and his health is quickly deteriorating. But the last wish that he wants is to have his son be happy and to find someone that can take care of him. So he's always looking out for his son. They have a very strong relationship, and so to please his father, he actually ends up trying to convince our heroine to pretend that she is his fiance, and they go to dinners with each other, you know, like family sittings, and she has conversations with the parents, and they're getting along really well. But of course, with the fake dating trope, what happens is that the characters end up having real feelings for each other, even though the relationship is fake. And our heroine is very nervous because she has a secret. And I want to tell you guys the secret because I feel like it's really important. But basically, our heroine actually got into an accident a couple years ago that left her with an inability to reproduce. So she has infertility issues and she can't ever have children. And throughout this whole book, she kind of comes to peace with finding love and telling the person that she can't have children, and living up with the understanding that they might be disappointed in her, that she can't do something in the relationship. When she meets him, she doesn't want to tell him because they're fake dating anyways. It doesn't really come up. But then the more that she falls for him, the more she realizes that she needs to tell him, because she feels like she's kind of like lying in a way by just not saying it. And especially since his parents really care about grandchildren and things like that. So I would recommend this book if you guys like One Day in December by Josie Silver. If you guys like a really actually like a chick lit novel, I definitely would recommend you to check this one out, especially maybe if you like a Sophie Kinsella novel, because I found this one to be on the rom-com side, where our heroine and our hero are like having witty banter with each other. They're just having great conversations and doing fun things. It was very lighthearted, which I would have never expected from the cover of the book. And the real reason why I never picked it up was because I thought that it wouldn't be this lighthearted, but it was, and I'm kind of kicking myself for not picking it up. Anyways, this one I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The reason why I'm taking a star off is because I felt that our heroine was kind of delaying telling the truth to our hero, but other than that, it was still a solid story. So if you guys liked The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez and you guys didn't like the ending of The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez, then you should check out this one, because this one does have a more realistic take on infertility. Now, the next book that I want to talk about is also another book that I never mentioned in my TBR video, mostly because I forgot to grab it off my shelf and then I forgot to mention it in the video. So this one's called 8 Perfect Hours by Leah Lewis, and this one involves the story of 2 people kind of like driving down a road, and then the snowstorm hits where they kind of can't drive anymore and they're kind of stranded in this small town. And she is like, you know, like, what do I do? Like, my car's not that new, you know, the heater's gonna die. And she sees like the car next to her, or like across the street from her, is like this really nice car. And that's our hero. So our hero comes over and wants to be, you know, the hero in the situation and offers her to join him in his new car so that she can at least stay warm. And they spend like 8 perfect hours with each other where they talk, they get to know each other, and they have a great time. But obviously and unfortunately, the situation ends where they are free to move along and go to the places that they need to be, and they lose connection until they see each other again, and then that's when they start their, you know, budding friendship and their relationship. Now this one I didn't really like at all. I gave this one a 2 out of 5 stars because I thought that our hero and our heroine liked each other too quickly. I thought that with the 8 hours like scene, it would take longer than like a scene, but it was literally just a scene. I thought it would be like, you know, a couple chapters at least, you know, maybe like half a book where our hero and our heroine are like actually having conversations. But I swear to you, those 8 hours were just like maybe like a couple paragraphs in a chapter. So I felt very undercooked and underdeveloped with the relationship. So I couldn't really trust that they actually had a connection with each other, especially since the writing felt like it was more showing than telling. So I didn't really like that. I didn't care if they ended up together or not. So I ended up still just, you know, giving it a 2 out of 5 stars, and I would recommend you to not pick this book up because it was a little bit disappointing. Now the next book I want to talk about is the newest and latest from Sophie Kinsella. This one's called The Party Crasher, and this one involves our heroine who is an older adult, like she's in her late 20s, and she's supposed to get her life together, but what happens is that she's laid off from her job, so she goes into these like other jobs to, you know, keep afloat. Meanwhile, she has like an older sister and also like an older brother, and they have a great relationship with each other, except for the fact that their father is dating someone who is a lot younger and they don't trust her. Our heroine obviously really has a special relationship with her mother for obvious reasons, and so she's always on her mother's side of this like divorce that's happening between the parents, and she never really accepted the divorce, mostly because she always thought that her parents were perfect for each other, they had the best time with each other, and she never understood it. But she tries to accept the fact that her father is moving on with a girlfriend. And when the father announces that he's going to be selling their childhood home, she's left completely devastated by the fact, because she really loved her home. She really liked the memories, and she has a special connection with that home. And she really hates the new like girlfriend slash stepmothers. Mostly because they have like really differences of opinions, and she doesn't trust her at all. So the relationship is tough. And when she's left like kind of uninvited to the last family party at that house that she grew up in, she decides that she's not going to go to the party, even though the family is telling her just show up, it's okay. She wants to stand her ground and she wants to save face, and she just doesn't want to go. But then she remembers that in that house she left like these toys in her childhood bedroom, and she really wants to grab it before the house is sold, mostly because she had really like great memories with those toys. It represented her childhood and she just wants it. But obviously she can't like go to the party now after she made such a big scene about not going to the party. So she decides to actually sneak into the house during the party, and then she can go grab the toys. And then it's really funny because like she's like hiding behind couches, hiding behind trees, sneaking around her house while guests are just kind of roaming about. And then there she also sees her like college ex-boyfriend who she really liked and she like had a really great relationship with, but it ended suddenly when they both realized that their careers are just not aligning properly. And she always still had some lingering feelings over him because she always thinks about him a lot, and she's not sure if he still feels the same way. But he ends up actually helping her, trying to look for these toys and trying to cover her when she's like sneaking around the house, and people are getting too close to her and almost on the brink of finding her and revealing her that she's actually in the house. Anyways, I really enjoyed this one. I thought I wouldn't like it, mostly because I've read a couple of new Sophie Kinsella novels in the previous years, and I felt like that her writing just got a little bit stale. It wasn't as interesting anymore. It wasn't as cute. But then when I read The Party Crasher, I was like really pleasantly surprised because I felt like I was reading a Sophie Kinsella novel. It was like chick lit, it was romantic, it was funny, it was just like a lighthearted read that is perfect for a time when you don't feel like you need like something hard hitting. This is like brain candy. Now, the last book that I do want to talk about is one that I haven't mentioned in my TBR video because I read it before my TBR video, and some people were actually commenting this book on the comment section below of that video, and they wanted to read The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox. Now, this one involves our two characters, our two heroines, who are actually twin sisters. One of them is like a cooking show host, and then the other one runs the family bakery at home. And so one's super famous and one's just happy being at home and running her shop, building the family business and greeting the customers that have been customers of the business for many years. But what happens is that our heroine on the TV show gets into an accident and she loses the ability to like smell and taste. So she obviously can't be like a judge of a competition or like, you know, fulfill her job. So she decides to do a twin swap situation. So she switches places with her sister back home, and then she would carry out the family business, you know, bake foods and greet customers and things like that. Meanwhile, our baker sister goes to become a TV show star. And they both have their own romantic relationships. Heroine at the bakery now finds someone from a small local town. Meanwhile, our heroine that is replacing her sister on the TV show, she meets someone on set and they kind of have like this nice relationship. But of course, with twin swap situation, they both end up accidentally but purposely also ruining their lives for each other. So like the bakery sister might have exposed the family secret to the competitor, and then our, you know, sister that's on the TV show might have just like ended the career for her sister on that TV show. So it got really messy and it was very complicated. I just didn't like it. I gave this one a 2 out of 5 stars. I had to lower the rating as we went along the book, mostly because I felt like the sisters really did a doozy for each other and really just ruined each other's careers and lives. And there wasn't really like enough like apologies or like just like enough conversation, enough fixing to really make me feel like that the ending was a happy ending. Because like, to be honest, if like my sister replaced me at my work and then said some really crazy stuff to my boss that made my boss like not like me, but I wasn't really there, my sister's just pretending to be me, and then my sister comes home and goes like, hey, sorry, like I just ruined your relationship with your boss because now your boss hates you, I would be so angry. Like I would be so angry. Anyways, long story short, I didn't like the book, but it does have a really high rating on Goodreads, so it might be a book for you. But for me, I just couldn't get past those moral. But anyways, that is just a quick wrap up of all the holiday romances that I did read so far. Hopefully you guys have some books to add to your TBR and maybe some books to take off for TBR. I don't know, but I'll see you guys again next time with a new video. Bye.